I'm going to edit it anyway, so.
Okay. Yeah, that's great.
Oh, I forgot to fix my tie. It's all right.
All right, yeah,
We're
let's
gonna
see
do
how
it.
we do with the blenders in the background and all that.
It's okay. It's okay. It's real.
It's real. Full disclosure.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today on the Full Disclosure Podcast. My name is Paris Vahan Miles, your most grateful host. And this is our guest today, Eleyah Knight, LAC, licensed acupuncturist, owner of Elated Family Acupuncture. She's the founder of Co-Creation School, nonprofit PTA, mother of two, passionate advocate for community engagement and proactive learning, liberating learning facilitator. She'll tell us more about that in a moment. Author of Connected Family Medicine, which is an interactive guide for families to learn about natural medicine, and Captain Love Scream and the High Seas Teens, a novel to empower revolutionary education. She's also the author of this zine, community pamphlet booklet called Liberating Learning, a free guide to cultivate the most valuable learning experiences for yourself, your family, and your community. Amazing. Eleyah Knight, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for coming on the show today. Glad you're here. And so that's a lot. I do want to start with that Liberating Learning. It is the title of the zine you have produced. Tell us a little bit more about why you chose those words and what that means to you.
Well, for a lot of people, learning is very dull and boring and imprisoning in many ways. If you look at the public school system and the history of it, why it started, it's originally implemented to produce good little worker bees and to actually limit rather than create more opportunities based on the child's own specific talents, interests, and passions. And so liberating learning is the opposite. It actually focuses more on your talents and your passions and things that you really enjoy doing, while opening up your mind to exploring new things. And when are you going to actually want to explore new things unless it's a fun process, right? And so I started the Co-Creation School originally as called Connected Teens Micro School. It was a micro school I hosted out of my own home. I started it for my son who was entering high school, and everything looked way too stressful for him. Now, if you think about how many kids, sadly, have to go through so much stress and torment to try to fit in and try to succeed in the mainstream system, it's mind-blowing, and we still have these problems. Sometimes in some places they're even worse. So there just needs to be alternatives. There needs to be something that not only can be a stress-free and in fact relaxing and fun atmosphere for youth, but there also needs to be a place where youth are learning with different ages. Besides just their own, I think it's very unnatural to segregate people by age. And so our Co-Creation School classes are actually, starting next week, they're going to be here in the community at this location actually on Mondays, and then we're going to have Family Fun Fridays where we go out on adventures. And these classes are going to be with all ages, because that's where we're going to see where people can really help each other and bring the elders and the youngers together on the same page. And that's where I feel like our humanity is truly going to evolve. So what it comes down to, all of my work, including my work with natural medicine, Chinese medicine, acupuncture, where I specialize in treating families of all ages, specifically kids. I love treating kids. They're my favorite clients. Is what comes down to liberating learning experiences. Because life does not, we don't stop learning. As long as we're alive, we're going to keep learning. We have to learn in order to survive. And anybody who feels like they know it all and they've done it all, well, they'll stay stuck in this stagnant, closed off way of thinking and living. And that actually can quite often lead to premature death, at least death of the soul, which is even worse than death of the body. And so, what it all comes down to, I realized very recently, was my work revolves around liberating the learning process so we can have free and enjoyable lives.
Liberating the learning process. That's incredible and exciting and amazing.
I'm gonna grab my drink.
Yeah, actually, on that note, this is a beverage. What did you get there today?
I got a mushroom latte.
Mushroom latte.
It's an alternative to it's a mushroom tea, so there's like no caffeine, no coffee, no cacao.
Okay.
I don't do any kind of caffeine because, you know, as a natural medicine provider, I've learned over the years, besides just my own addiction to it and then, you know, overdoing it and then having an allergy to it, that like caffeine actually strains your adrenal glands and it strains your kidneys and it causes your hormones to go out of balance. It also depletes your magnesium and your iron, and it's like we need all those things. We don't need caffeine.
Yeah.
That's, you know, people say, oh, caffeine's so good for you, or coffee's good for you. It's like, you know, it can be good for certain people, I guess, in certain ways, but like overall, in general, I don't believe that caffeine is good for you.
Yeah, I thought that was really
Not in this
interesting.
culture,
You know, and it sounds like a bunch of hype, but I found out that there are people who have been turned away from plasma centers, you know, people who donate plasma, because their hematocrit was low or their iron was low because they were taking caffeine. And so they went to this facility and got turned away because their iron was low and they had no idea. And I was like, wow, that's the proof right there, right? If they weren't drinking coffee that day.
It dries you up too. It dries up your. So I actually just got my blood drawn today. Last 2 times I went to get my blood drawn, I passed out because I couldn't find my vein. They kept poking at me. Today I was able to lay down and I hydrated. I drank a ton of electrolytes, and they were able to do it. It was totally fine. So yeah. I think that's for you.
Does he?
Yeah, I think so. You just left it there, so it might be the same thing I have. Does it taste like a mushroom latte to you?
Yes.
Nice. All right, cheers.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Come on down to True Juice. What's the address here?
True Juice. Oh, we're on
124 Northwest D Street.
124 Northwest D Street in Grants Pass.
True Juice. Amazing community location, which is also where some of these classes are going to be taught at the moment. Is that correct?
Yep, Mondays from 4 to 6, starting next week. And Fridays from 11 to 4. We're going to be here, jump in our big school van to go somewhere exciting and fun, to have a fun family and an educational family activity day.
Wow.
Yeah, so and actually our first class launching a week from now is going to be focused on a game that Paris and I are putting together called Pyramid Pilgrim. Yeah, like going to grab one and we'll show it to you. You want to grab the prototype or did I put it away? So it's a self-discovery game and journey to self-actualization. So, many of you are familiar with Maslow's hierarchy of needs. If you're not, you can look it up online. Maslow is a psychologist from a long time ago. He made this pyramid of needs, and he believes that there's 5 levels of needs. So, and we start at our basic physiological needs, like breathing, food, and water. And we have to make sure that we have this covered in order to go to the next stage, which is safety and security. And once we have all these resources covered in our life, then we move up to love and belonging. After we feel love and belonging, we move up to self-esteem. Once we feel our self-esteem is adequate, we move up to self-actualization, and this is where we get into the ultimate creator mode, when we're able to, do anything we really want to do, create our own reality, and get to this level where we feel comfortable with life, and like we know who we are, and we are, I almost said productive members of society, but people have a different idea of what that means. But like,
thank you for adjusting.
I would say more like people who are uplifting the world around them. Just by being who they are, because they're secure in themselves and they know who they are, and they have, they're living their purpose, and everybody has their unique purpose, and it might not look productive to one person as it does to another, but we all have our individual light to share, and this game that we're launching on Monday is going to really help people reach their goals and discover what it is that's unique about them that makes this world a better place. So I'm really excited about it, and Yeah, we're gonna have people come and make their own game boards, and this is something that I feel like we can do all over the world someday.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the interesting thing about it was that it was originally created for teens or
Yes.
youth, and then it turned out it's all ages.
Yes,
actually.
it can really be. I mean, of course, you're going to have to modify the activities. So each category, each level has 12 different subcategories, 12 different activity. Well, not 12 subcategories, 12 different activities, and I think 6 subcategories, where each one represents an hour of an activity that has something to do with that specific subcategory, like food, for example, something that's going to help you secure your relationship with food, and so you always have your basic needs met around food.
Yeah.
And so in each one, that builds on and on and on until you get to self-actualization, where you're going all the way up to your purpose at this stage, and how you discover that, or how you can discover that, and the activities you can do to help you really understand what your purpose is. So yeah, it's going to be one of those, long. That's why we call it a journey too, because it's not just a game. You can see it as a game, and you can create it and have fun with it as a game. But it really is a journey to get to really know yourself and your place in the world. So
Yeah, that makes me think a lot about some things that I've been taking in lately, as an aspiring entrepreneur, and I take in a lot of content for entrepreneurs, and one of the things that they talk about is having yourself in such a way to where it's not about the destination, it's about who you become on the journey, right?
absolutely.
And I think that I used to have a destination, and then having a destination, it was always this place that I would never reach. I was watching Diary of a CEO just the other day, actually. He was talking about something he said that there was a study where people, when they think about themselves in the future, well, they had people think about themselves in the past, think about themselves now, and then think about themselves in the future, and then they also had them think about celebrity. And they found that when they think about themselves in the future, their brain patterns were similar to when they think about a celebrity. Essentially, like when they think about who they're going to be in the future, it's like thinking about a movie star.
They put themselves on an unrealistic pedestal, it sounds like.
Or just someone who's not even themselves, because it's that other person
Image.
from somewhere in the future. It's not me, right? And I think that in not having a destination and just enjoying who I become on the journey, life has become so much more fun and full of possibility, right? And now there's something I think to be said about a ship with no destination is doomed to never find its harbor. If you don't know where you're headed, there's no way you might not end up anywhere. Right? So that is something to consider. But I think that having something like this that gives someone actionable steps, step-by-step plan, and I think the way we discovered that it's all ages is that in order to start something like this, not everyone's going to start at the same place, right? You may look at some of these categories down below and feel like, I could knock some of these out pretty quickly, right? These are basic needs, basic physiological needs: breathing, food, water, shelter. A lot of us, we have a lot of information about those subjects already. And so maybe you're in safety and security, or perhaps you're actually at love and belonging. Who knows? But depending upon where you find yourself, the rest of the game is where I think the greatest discoveries are going to be made as you go towards self-actualization. And to me, that's the person I become. Right? That self-actualization is the person I'm becoming during the journey to whoever I end up in the end.
I love how you brought up that point. I was actually just making a video about this the other day. Something really powerful that I realized right before the turning of the year was that whatever we pursue, those dreams and goals that we pursue, bring in the opportunities that shape us. They bring in new opportunities for us. So instead of being so die-hard, looking towards that goal as the end-all, be-all, if we can see it as like a North Star, like, okay, I need to move in this direction. then everything that we are like, that we need along the way, it comes to us and it shapes our character. Like a perfect example is I wrote this book, Captain Lovescream in the High 16s, and I developed this character, this alter ego, Captain Lovescream, for myself, and she sails around the world with teen school and helps start farm schools in every country they go to, and this became like this is like the clarity for the dream, like my long-term dream, my long-term goal that I'm working towards right now, among many other things, but this is like the big one. And so as soon as I published this book, I meet this beautiful man who's a sailor, and I just got back from the Caribbean. I learned how to, and this guy, and we're dating now. It's just like, incredible. I brought in the like potentially love of my life by writing this book, and that was not the intention of it at all. I was just like, I wanted to, it's still a possibility, and I'm still focusing on, this book can still make the impact that I intend on it to make. Because one of these days somebody could read this book and say, wow, I really would love to see this school happen. This school on a ship that helps, start other, schools all over the world on farms. That sounds amazing, right?
It does, yes.
And so, I released this and I'm like, I know it's huge and it sounds kind of crazy, but just from releasing this book and like, putting my heart into this idea, this dream, I've had opportunities along, just already, just from, since this fall,
wow.
And so that should give people motivation to like, don't be afraid of dreaming big. In fact, the bigger the better, because when you work towards that, you will be surprised what you see, what you're going to accomplish along the way, what things you're going to bring in, and just always remember that there can be better things than you can even imagine. So don't be attached. Don't be attached to your goals. Just move towards them.
Yeah, being flexible, I think, is important for sure. Also known as the pivot.
The pivot.
Right. So you wrote a book. How long did it take you to write a book? I've been told I should write a book.
Well,
it seems daunting.
Everything I do, by the way, is very unconventional. So you can't. Nobody. Some people can relate and be like, oh yeah, I could probably do something like that too. But this particular book, this novel, took a few months. Because it's not because it's like, oh, I'm some genius. The story was like channeled through me. I was so inspired. This was the year, I was halfway through my first year at Connected Teens. I just started this teen program, and my students from my first class, they were inspiring all these characters. And then my brother came to town with his family. This is before they moved here. They came to town and they inspired this dream. Because we were having like a pirate day. They inspired this dream about the Lovescream. It had this dream about this ship that saved my life. Okay. And the story was like channeled through me. So like,
it was a dream you had. It
was a dream that I had that became like, oh my gosh, I have so much clarity of what I want to do with my life now, like, long term. Okay. So that was the novel. But then I also wrote this interactive guide called Connected Family Medicine. And that came from just for me, like never finding a book or a guide that was interactive that I could do with my kids.
Okay.
And if the ones that are out there are very few and far between. And so I wanted to write something that had activities that parents could do with their kids to help understand natural medicine more. And I don't remember how long that book took. That's probably pretty. See, once I get an idea, like I'm going to write a book or I'm going to do this, I just do it. Like I don't typically take years and years, but like there are things that there are books that I have been working on for a long time, and actually maybe Connected Family Medicine did take a couple of years. I don't even remember now. But that's the thing is like it's okay. It's always recommended like follow through. But sometimes you need to put a project on the shelf until the right inspiration comes. Like this game, for example, we made it like a year ago, and like we're like there hasn't quite been the right time until now. Now that I'm shifted my school around and decided I need to meet the community where they're at. I need to offer these classes and everything that my school represents. I need to offer it right here where the people are. And what's a better first class to launch to the community than making this game together? Right. We wouldn't have thought of that otherwise. We never thought like, oh, we're going to make this game as a class. Like that literally just clicked yesterday. And I'm so glad it did because I needed a class. I didn't have anything on the schedule for our very first week of launching the co-creation school here in town. And so I'm out of need, boom, solution for making this game just happen. And then we were also kind of wondering like, oh, what's the exact materials we're going to use? How much is this going to cost? We need to find somebody who can help us produce this. And then just going to Staples today, I realized, oh, boom, under $20, I can get everything that we need for like a whole room of people to make this game with cardstock and pieces of paper. It is that easy. And like, yes, we're gonna evolve this game, I'm sure. So it's gonna be made with like more high quality products that are more durable and maybe even waterproof, so people can take it with them on their, traveling adventures. But yeah, this is just like that's how ideas work. It's like you have to really. That's what when they say go with the flow, and that Taoist expression. I don't know if you've ever heard of this Taoist expression called Wu Wei, which translates as doing nothing. It's not doing nothing. It's just waiting. Being able to maneuver through like the right time, like just figuring out when things happen for the best. And sometimes you're not going to feel like, oh, doesn't really feel like it's in alignment. So a lot of finding that flow is like finding what's in alignment, like with what you're doing at that time. So I think it is a good idea to shelf things. But I'll get back to this. I still feel like this is valuable, but it's just not the right time. So timing is really everything. The power really is first of all, the power is in the moment of like, enjoy the now. Take advantage of whatever's available to you in the moment, and like focus, prioritize, and see like what is it that I need to do now? What is my body telling me? What are people around me needing? Like where am I needed most right now?
No, I do want to stop there for a moment because now you're stopping on important questions that I think are incredibly valuable for a person to be asking themselves. However, as someone who has the ability to ask those questions, I'm also aware that at a certain point in my life, I didn't have room to ask myself those sorts of questions. What sort of advice or suggestions do you have for someone who feels like I can't even start doing the things that you're talking about right now? How do we reach those people?
Well, first things first, you gotta start where you're at.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been seeing patients at my acupuncture clinic for almost 9 years now. And so I've had to adapt my strategies quite a bit to people at very different stages of their life, very different walks of life. And so, there's always something that we can do. In fact, if you feel like, oh man, that is just so far beyond, where I'm at now, it's like, perfect. This is great. That means that you're closer to like what they call a beginner's mindset, or like a fresh perspective of things. That means that you can have, people who feel like, oh, I've already, been there, they're not going to be as open. They're going to be like, oh, I already have had so much success. I have my way of doing things. Okay. And that ends up making people more closed off and stagnant, right? But when you don't have like all the experience in the world, when you're still like, green, as they call it, or like, when you feel like you're not very experienced, like you don't have, that means the whole world is open to you, and you have so many possibilities. So you can see it that way, as in like, oh wow, like I have a lot of exciting things to learn, and a lot of and it's sad when you think that people will be so happy when they're all at their successful point and reach their goals, but I'd say most people are not, because they feel like, okay, now what? And that's, I want to bring that to I know this might sound like a little bit of a tangent, but something really, really useful we should know about dopamine, because dopamine is a hormone that's been so activated in our brains because of instant gratification, social media, and all that, is that it's a hormone of insatiation. So we're constantly, as soon as we get our dopamine hit, we just want more. And so, same thing with goals. You reach a goal, I just want another goal. I just need to reach higher and higher and higher. When is it enough? In this culture that we live in, it's become an epidemic of insatiation. That's what I see more than anything, is people just want the next thing, the next hit, the next thing that's going to make them feel like, oh, I feel good about myself because of this. And so instead of focusing on like, oh, I want to be like this person, and I want to have this goal and do this thing, this is where society tells me I have to be. Instead, what is the most basic, simple joy in your life? Come up with a new one every day, and I swear, like, focusing on these simple joys is what's going to give your life the most meaning, and what's going to give your life the most happiness, by far.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And so, what would you want people to know who feel like they're behind, or what lie about success do you think people should stop with?
Well, that's a big one. The whole reaching a goal makes you happy. That's huge. That's one that hit me relatively recently of like, oh my god. Like, okay, first of all, the other thing that hit me while I was sailing, while I was on the boat, that one big lie, another thing I consider it a lie about success, is that things that you're yearning for, the things that you're working towards, they can be chains. And for me, they were for many years. My yearnings were chains. They would actually keep me from being happy because I didn't have them. Because I see everybody else with a husband and with a baby, or with a successful practice. I have a successful practice, but seeing more patients than me, getting recognition, or their book getting taken up by an agent and getting worldwide millions of books published or whatever. And like you look at these things and like you might set yourself up like a goal. I want to be like there. But if you let that control your life, and then you're not able to enjoy what you already have. And so when I was sitting on that boat, I was like, I'm releasing these chains. I said like an affirmation, I guess, even to the universe. Like it literally just came from nowhere, it seemed. But like I felt like my chains were finally, my metaphorical chains were finally broken free, and I was able to sink into, wow, I'm so grateful that I have what I have right now. And everybody can do that. Everybody can be like, well, I definitely have everything on this. Most people can say that they have like physiological needs met. Okay? And I'm sure many people can at least find a lot of these other categories are filled with things too that they have. And so the more you focus on what you already have, that is where the power is.
Okay, so more so be in the moment instead of
being
caught up with what you don't
really
have,
enjoy what
be
you
grateful
have.
for what you do have.
And exactly. And like our technology these days and all these future driven and like past trauma, all these things try to tear our attention from it. Oh, and your attention is your currency. Where you put attention is what comes to being in this world. So think about that too. Like wherever we put our attention is, and whatever we make matter becomes matter. I heard that from a video the other day, and I was like, that is so true.
It makes me think of another phrase: where your attention goes, your energy flows. On that note, thank you so much for being here, Eleyah. Really appreciate your time today. Thank you all for joining us today. Come down to True Juice on D Street in downtown Grants Pass. We'd love to see you.
Yeah.
Have a great day.
That was awesome.
Man,